Robert Manning gripped the steering wheel tighter as snow pelted his windshield. The 48-year-old CEO had just left another grueling board meeting in the city. His daughter Emma was home with a babysitter, and he was already 2 hours late. The highway stretched endlessly before him, a white ribbon disappearing into darkness. Then he saw her, a figure hunched beside a broken-down sedan, holding something against her chest. Robert slowed his SUV and pulled onto the shoulder. Through the swirling snow, he could see a woman in her early 30s, tears streaming down her face. In her arms were 2 tiny bundles, wrapped in thin blankets. "Please," she called out as he approached, her voice cracking. "My car died and my phone has no signal." Her name was Sarah Mitchell. She was a night shift nurse at County General. The twins, barely 3 months old, were named Lily and Rose. "I just moved here last week," she explained, shivering violently. "I took this job because the hospital back home closed down." Robert noticed her wedding ring was gone, leaving only a pale mark. "My husband left us 2 months ago," Sarah continued, reading his glance. "Said he couldn't handle being a father." The babies began to cry, their small voices barely audible over the wind. Robert made a decision. "Get in my car," he said firmly. "We'll figure everything else out later." Sarah hesitated for only a moment before following him. Inside the warm vehicle, she broke down completely. "I'm supposed to start my shift in an hour," she sobbed. "But I don't even know where I'm living anymore." "What do you mean?" "The apartment I rented. The landlord called this morning and said there was a mistake, and someone else had already leased it." She wiped her eyes with a trembling hand. "Everything I own is in that car, and now it won't start, and I have nowhere to go." Robert felt something shift in his chest. He knew that kind of desperation. 5 years ago, his wife had died suddenly from an aneurysm. Emma was only 3 years old. He remembered the crushing weight of trying to work while grieving, of being both mother and father. "Listen to me carefully," Robert said. "I have a guest house behind my property, and nobody's using it right now." Sarah looked at him with suspicion mixed with hope. "I can't accept charity from a stranger." "It's not charity," Robert replied. "You're a nurse, and my daughter has been struggling with anxiety since her mother passed, and I could use someone nearby who understands medical things." It wasn't entirely true, but it wasn't entirely false either. Sarah studied his face for a long moment. "1 month," she finally said, "just until I get my first paycheck and find a real place." Robert nodded and called a tow truck for a car. Then he drove them all home. The guest house was small but furnished. Robert helped Sarah carry the twins inside while she stared around in disbelief. "I'll bring some supplies tomorrow," he said. "Tonight, just rest." But Sarah couldn't rest. At midnight, Robert found her sitting on his back porch, watching snow fall. "They're finally asleep," she whispered. "I keep thinking I'm going to wake up, and this will all be a dream." Robert sat down beside her. "My wife used to say that kindness isn't about grand gestures," he said quietly. "It's about showing up when someone needs you. You don't even know me." "No," Robert agreed. "But someone helped me once when Emma was sick, and I had no one, and I swore I'd pay it forward." Over the following weeks, something unexpected happened. Sarah's presence brought life back to the property. She would wave Emma in the mornings before school. Sometimes she'd leave fresh cookies on Robert's doorstep with little notes thanking him. Emma became fascinated with the twins and would ask to visit them. Slowly, the girl's anxiety began to ease. 2 months passed. Sarah's car was fixed. She received her paycheck and started looking for apartments. But Robert found himself dreading the day she would leave. One evening, Emma asked him a question that stopped his heart. "Daddy, why does Sarah have to go away? I like having her here." Robert didn't have a good answer. The truth was, he liked having her here too. Not romantically, Not yet anyway, but there was a warmth in his home that had been missing for years. That weekend, he knocked on the guest house door. "I have a proposal," Robert said when Sarah answered. "Stay as long as you need, and in exchange, if you're willing, maybe you could have dinner with Emma and me a few times a week." Sarah smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "I'd like that." Months turned into seasons. Sarah excelled at her job. The twins grew stronger. Emma blossomed with 2 little ones to dote on. And Robert discovered that healing doesn't follow a timeline. It happens quietly, in shared meals and gentle conversations. One spring evening, Sarah found Robert in his study. "I got offered promotion," she said, "but it would mean moving to another city." Robert felt his stomach drop. "Are you going to take it?" Sarah shook her head. "I've been running for so long," she said softly, "from my failed marriage, from my fears, from everything. But I think I finally found a place where I can stop running." "You're staying?" "If you'll have us," Sarah replied. "Not in the guest house forever, but nearby, because Emma needs us, and honestly, I think we need you too." Robert felt tears prick his eyes. "I'd like that very much." They didn't rush into anything. Love, real love, takes time to build. But standing there in that moment, Robert understood something profound. Sometimes the greatest gifts come disguised as snowstorms. Sometimes helping someone else is exactly what you need to help yourself. And sometimes family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up when the road gets dark and the snow won't stop falling.